I was 10 years old, my older brother vanished without a trace while playing in the woods behind our house. He was 13. I remember the exact moment it happened. A scream, sharp and sudden, echoing through the trees like the crack of a whip. By the time I reached the clearing, the only thing left was the circle. A ring of mushrooms perfectly formed, unnaturally symmetrical. The ground inside looked darker than the forest floor around it, almost charred and silent. Even the birds had gone quiet. We didn't speak of it after that day. My mother refused to let me or my little sister, Ellie, go near the woods. My father, who had always been a pragmatic man, stopped talking altogether. Over time, the town whispered, as small towns do, and the stories grew in the gaps between what we saw and what we refused to believe. People said he ran away. Others said he drowned in the river. But I knew better. I saw the ring. 15 years passed before I returned. My parents were gone by then. A car accident on black ice just last winter, and the house had become mine. I moved in with Ellie, now 16. She had no memory of our brother, just the vague, haunted knowledge that something ugly had happened before she was old enough to understand. I told her nothing of the circle, nothing of the scream. I kept it locked away like a festering wound, buried beneath the practical chores of adulthood. Fix the roof, clean the gutters, sort the attic. But in April, when the snows finally melted, Ellie began wandering. At first, it was innocent enough. Little walks to clear her head, she said. She'd come back with flowers in her hair, always wild, always fragrant. Ones I didn't recognize, but assumed were native to the forest. Then she started humming. Strange, lilting melodies I couldn't place. Half remembered and devoid of rhythm, but eerily soothing. Like lullabies meant to calm something that had never known peace. The dream started shortly after. I would wake up gasping, sweating, sure I'd heard something skitter across the floorboards outside my room. Once, I caught movement in the corner of the mirror. Spindly limbs, too long, too thin, retreating as I turned. Another night, I dreamt of Ellie walking barefoot through the backyard, her eyes closed, her mouth moving wordlessly as the wind lifted her hair like it belonged to someone else. I began locking my door. One morning, I found muddy footprints leading from the back porch to the kitchen. Small, bare feet. The same ones I used to chase through the grass when she was 5. Only the back door was still bolted shut from the inside. When I asked her about it, her face went blank. "I haven't been outside," she said, "not last night." But her fingernails were caked with soil. That's when I started following her. Around 3 in the morning, she'd rise from bed as if sleepwalking. But her eyes were open, not vacant, but focused, alert. She moved with certainty, as though following a sound I couldn't hear. I trailed her through the trees, heart hammering, barefoot over cold moss and twisting roots. The forest was different at night, closer. Every step echoed, no matter how soft. The trees whispered, branches twitching without wind. Shapes danced in my peripheral vision. Flashes of white skin and coiled limbs flickering between trunks. Ellie walked directly to the circle. It had grown. The mushrooms were thicker now, almost pulsing with a pale bioluminescent glow. Inside the ring, the air shimmered, not like heat, but like something behind glass, vibrating. I felt my stomach twist. The space inside bent, as if it folded deeper than it had any right to. Ellie stepped toward it. I grabbed her arm and yanked her back. She didn't scream, just stared at me with something hollow in her eyes, something ancient, something that whispered, "You shouldn't have touched her." After that night, I dug into the town records. There'd been other disappearances. Children mostly, always in spring, always near the woods. Never a body, never a trace. The newspapers called them wandering incidents. And the most recent was in 1983. Coincidentally, the same year my brother vanished. A librarian named Mrs. Keene, who looked like she hadn't slept in a decade, pulled me aside as I paged through dusty microfilm. "You shouldn't be looking into this," she said quietly. "They remember when you noticed them. That's how they come back." I asked her who. She didn't answer, only reached into her drawer and handed me a book. Folklore of the Hollow Vale. Inside was a chapter called The Circles. It was worse than I expected. The Fae, it said, don't steal children indiscriminately. They invite them, through dreams and whispers, through songs that mimic the voice of someone you love. They lure those with open minds, the imaginative, the lonely, the curious, the ones most likely to believe. Once a child steps willingly into the ring, they're taken beyond the veil, where time doesn't move properly, where they forget who they were, but not what they were taken for. Servants, the book called them, eyes, ears, and hands. The Fae realm, it claimed, is not a paradise of glowing meadows and butterfly wings. It's a cold, echoing imitation of life, built from what humans leave behind. Lost names, forgotten songs, discarded emotions. The servants are used to maintain it, to hold its shape. And when they wear out, they must be replaced. I stared at the page, and one line struck me like a blade. One child every 40 years. One circle, one entry, one tether left behind. My brother went in 1983. It was now 2023. Ellie. She was the tether. I confronted her that night. She didn't flinch as I yelled, didn't respond as I waved the book in her face. Only that same vacant look. Not fear, not anger. Just the quiet patience of someone waiting for nightfall. "You don't understand," she finally whispered. "It's not bad there. They're not cruel. It's just different." I asked her how she knew. "I remember things that aren't mine," she said. "Places I've never seen. Faces I've never met. They hum in my sleep. They call me by my middle name." She didn't have a middle name. That night I nailed her window shut. But I forgot the attic. She vanished 1 week later. No footprints, no broken locks, only her bed. Empty except for a ring of mushrooms placed in a perfect circle on the blanket. Still damp with dew. I returned to the clearing in daylight. The circle was gone. Or rather, hidden again. I could feel it, a pressure in the earth, a coldness in my chest. I fell to my knees and dug with my bare hands, tearing at the moss, the dirt, the roots, until I found it. A single white mushroom, bone pale, fragile as paper. I placed it in a jar and brought it home. That was 3 months ago. I haven't stopped hearing the music since. Some nights, I catch glimpses in the mirror again. Not limbs this time, but reflections that don't match. I look left, they look right. They hold a smile too long, they blink too slowly. And always, just behind me, in the reflections corner, is the circle, crowing. I hear her singing now. Ellie, though I know she's not Ellie anymore. Last night, I woke up to find a ring of mushrooms forming around my bed. Not a perfect circle yet, but close. My hands ache with soil. My dreams are filled with impossible forests. where the trees bend backward and the stars are too bright, where my brother waits with hollow eyes and a grin that doesn't reach his jaw. I know what they want. I know what I am now. The next tether. Don't go into the woods in spring. Don't follow the music. And if you find a circle of mushrooms, for the love of God, don't step inside. Because once you're invited, they'll never stop calling your name.